You are listening to the Power Women in Green podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Hyukuma. I get to talk to a power woman in green. These women are doing business in a new way, and it's feminine and from the heart. Behind every one of these women in sustainable business, there's a story worth being told. Join me and learn from her road to success and how to incorporate her knowledge into your own life and career. Karen Hoskin is a 20-year entrepreneur based in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. She started her first company in 1998 and recently founded her fourth company, Zoetica. Each company has had a sustainability ethos. She built a LEED certified preschool between 2001 and 2005. Then in 2008, she built one of the USA's first green craft distilleries, Montanya Distillers. In 2017, she turned her personal commitment to zero waste into a company by launching Zoetica, which designs and makes zero waste systems. These systems are ideal for consumers like herself who want to refuse convenience trash. Karen's focus on sustainability affects every aspect of her personal and professional life. It determines everything from how she travels to what packaging she accepts. It even affects what clothing she wears and how her homes and offices are constructed and powered. Hello, Karen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It is so great to have you. I really love the products behind you and the plants. We're getting a little
excellent.
All right. Let's begin by the beginning. Firstly, tell me a little bit about Zoetica and Montanya Distillers.
So I started Montanya Distillers about 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years in April. I have been a rum fanatic for about 30 years, and I was at the end of a exciting time of being a business owner, and I was looking for a change, something new to do. And I thought, I want to start a rum distillery. And luckily at the time, my husband had another company that was really doing well, so I could end what I was doing and give up the income and be able to start something brand new and have a period of time where, I had to really invest. And that worked out really well. And then about 5 years into that business, we moved to Crested Butte, Colorado, and have been here in this beautiful mountain town for the last 5 years, actually close to 7 years now. And this is really where the business has taken root and become both a favorite local enterprise, but also we send product all over the world. So we're sending product to Spain and Italy and Germany and as Canada, but also to most parts of the United States as well. And then Zoetica really grew out of Montanya Distillers. I began thinking a lot about my consumption of convenience trash and throwaway waste as I was traveling for my other business, which was purportedly a green distillery. We were doing everything possible to use renewable energy and reduce our waste and think about every action of our company from an environmental perspective. And here I was in the airport with a throwaway to-go cup and a plastic water bottle and to-go containers for my lunch. And I thought, I'm not walking the walk. I'm not doing this the way I believe I should be. And as a result, I started to make steps to try to come up with a system as I traveled and as I just moved through my everyday life to eliminate throwaway plastic trash. I call it convenience trash because that's really what it is. It's the things that make it easy for us when we're moving about to have a drink or some food or some water. And wow, it took 8 months to create a system. And once I was done, my business partner and I thought, we're not the only ones that want to do this. And it took us a really long time to figure it out. Maybe there would be other people who would be excited to benefit from what we learned. And that was when Zoetica was born. That was halfway through 2017. And then we launched on September 12th of 2017. So it's new.
Yeah. And Zoetica is like a package of you bring your own utensils and they come in a little package, right?
Right. So it's really a lot of different types of systems. So if what you've decided is that you carry a backpack and you want to not use to-go cups, water bottles, to-go containers, shopping bags, produce bags, cutlery, straws, all those things that we get handed all day long, then you have to have that with you in order to refuse and say no. Nobody really helps us with that, unfortunately. And so our systems come in whatever form people want. Some people build their own from a bag they already have. We have a lot of bags that we provide, and we have build your own systems. And then we have systems that we've created through many types of kind of, tips and tricks that we've learned along the way. We've put together systems, and so you can buy a complete system or you can build your own. But then as you're walking around in the airport or at your office, you have everything you need to be able to refuse throwaway items all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking in my own bag, the metal straw and the spork are at the bottom of my bag. I don't know how clean they are when I use them, but I do have them with me.
And that's another element of Zoetica, is that everything is either dishwashable or machine washable. So all the fabrics go in the washing machine, all the stainless steel items go in the dishwasher. So everything can stay really clean and be easily cleaned in the bathroom at a hotel or in the bathroom at the office or wherever you kind of clean up your stuff. But it becomes this cool thing where you unzip it or you look in the pockets and you're like, ooh, I'm missing my coffee cup, I'm missing my water bottle. And you have this great way to assess whether you have everything with you as you're walking out the door. So it takes a commitment. There's no question. It doesn't just happen. But once people say, I'm not going to do this anymore, then it makes it much easier to actually do it, every day, all day.
Yeah. And if it's a habit, we're creatures of habit. If it's a habit, then you always have it with you. Then you don't have to think about it anymop. But it does take a little while to get used to it, I think. Yeah.
It takes a practice, and then it also takes really understanding what pushback you're going to get. Like if there's a flight attendant who says, yeah, I'm not allowed to fill your water bottle, I say, actually you are, you just aren't allowed to touch the rim of my water bottle with your vessel. And once they kind of recognize that, then they fill my water bottle without complaint. So it works.
Yeah. Makes so much sense. So the distillery business, for a minute, it seems like a very complicated business to start. So can you take us a little bit on behind the scenes on how that is?
Yes, I sort of joke often and say if I'd had any clue how challenging it was to start, I might have gone a different direction. But now that I'm through it, that creates sort of a barrier to other people coming in to the business, which makes it good for those of us who are kind of staying committed. Let me get that big sun. Basically, the way you start a distillery is you get a federal permit, and then you get a state permit, and then you get local permits from your county and your town governments. So we own about 17 different licenses and permits for this business. It's really intense in terms of compliance. And that's because the largest producer of tax revenue in the United States and in most countries is alcoholic beverages. So they want to know exactly who you are, what you're doing, so they can get their taxes. And we luckily came out of different industries and businesses that allowed us to not be intimidated by a huge amount of paperwork. So it took us about 6 months to go from starting the company to being open with all the permits that we needed. That's pretty unusual and doesn't happen that often anymore. A lot of distilleries take 2 to 3 years to get open. But yeah, we've got all those licenses and permits in place. And then once we did, it's been easy to keep them in place. We just have to file the paperwork and pay the excise taxes and things like that. But there are very few women in the industry still, very few women who own these companies, women distillers, women who promote these spirits brands. And so it has been a unique aspect of our company that we're 10 years old and have been doing this long before women were involved. And we've had women distillers on staff, and we've really created an equality, gender equality within our business that is really rare in the craft distilling world.
Nice. And how many rums do you have? Is there a variety?
We have three currently in the market. So we have Platino, Oro, and Exclusiva. Platino is our light rum. It's clear, but it is an aged white rum. We have Oro, which has been aged and keeps its color. And then we have Exclusiva, which is our longest aged kind of limited edition rum. And that one's finished in a port barrel of French oak. So all of our rums are aged. We have a new rum coming out this year as a limited release for celebrating our 10th anniversary. So that will probably be our 10-year Exclusiva, which we've been aging for a long time. So it will be our longest aged rum, probably about 4.5 years of age. And we haven't yet decided exactly what barrel we're going to finish in, but it should be released about the middle of the year.
And if all the rums are aged, how long did it take from after getting the permits and then starting Montanya to actually being able to sell a product? How long did that take?
Well, our early rums were not as long aged as they are now. So the rums we released when we opened the doors were only 6 to 8 weeks aged in an American white oak. That was not our preference, but we didn't have $20 million of investment. So we had to really put it together and get some rum into the market. There's a lot of rum that is not aged at all. And so that was okay with us. Over the years of being in business, we've continuously inched up the amount of time that we're aging all of our rums because we think it's great for the smoothness and the complexity of the flavor.
Yeah, and also fun for you.
It's fun, yes. But it's expensive.
So I would like to have, if you can, paint a little picture of what it's like at the distillery. What does it look like and what's the atmosphere like?
So we have two buildings in Crested Butte, Colorado. We have one that's right downtown on the main drag of our local shopping district. That is a rum bar and a restaurant, and it's where we distill and where we do our fermentations. But we don't age there, we don't bottle there. That's not where trucks come and go to ship and receive the rum. We have a separate facility that's about 2 miles down the road. That's our big kind of warehouse space with the forklift. And that's where we have 150 barrels of aging rum at a time. We have empty bottles and full bottles of rum. We have boxes and trucks coming and going to different places and pallets moving about. And so in the in-town location, over 10 years, we've become well known in Colorado and in the United States for making exceptional rum cocktails. When we started 10 years ago, people were not excited about cocktails that had rum in them. It was all vodka and whiskey. And now we have really started to change that paradigm that good rum can make some of the most phenomenal cocktails that mixologists make. And that's all we serve in our bar is cocktails made with rum and rum that we make. And it's really busy. It's often standing room only. And bartenders will say, people don't really drink rum. And I'm like, yeah, actually, they drink rum if you make good cocktails with rum. So it's a beautiful kind of a modern space. We have brick walls and high ceilings and exposed beams and, cathedral going from one floor to the next cathedral staircase. And it's really a beautiful, beautiful space. Out at our warehouse, it's more of an industrial-like location with concrete floors and lots of overhead shelves with barrels on them. It's not quite as sexy as the bar, but our stills, which are also in kind of alongside the bar, our stills are beautiful copper stills from Portugal that were hand hammered for us. Our fermentation tanks are beautiful. So people can come in and look at and see what we're doing every day to make the rum. They can taste it coming right off the still. So there's a very fun experience involved as well.
Nice. And those products behind you, I see the shaker and stuff. Are those things you sell as well?
So behind me is one of the shelves of our Zoetica showroom. So that's the other business. What you're seeing is some different sizes of coffee cups, double-walled stainless steel coffee cups. You're also seeing a double-walled water bottle, some stainless steel to-go containers, tiffins, We have a line of picnic replacement products, so plates and bowls that you can take to a picnic that would otherwise have stacks of paper plates or styrofoam plates or plastic cups. So we're trying to also help people to go to a music festival or to a special event that's going to just have piles of throwaway things and bring their own kit so they can refuse all of that stuff.
Great. And I have another question about the rum. How is island rum different than mountain rum?
Great question. That's probably my favorite question. So in the islands, all the rum is distilled outside primarily because it creates a lot of heat that islanders don't want. The fermentations are chilled because the ambient temperatures are 70, 80 degrees and it's too hot for fermentation. Their rums are typically made from molasses or fresh pressed sugarcane juice. That's not how we make our rum. And they're aging in barrels at sea level. So whatever rum goes into the pores of the barrel on day one is the same rum that's in the pore of the barrel 7 years later, 4 years later. We are a whole different tradition that we learned from the rum distillers in Guatemala, long time ago in Colombia, even Panama, where they're in volcanic regions of the world. And they take their barrels up into the mountains to age because the temperature fluctuations from day to night create beautiful responses in the wood and expose more of the rum to the barrel aging process. So it's really good for aging to have temperature change during the day. We also use basically everything that came out of the sugarcane plant. So not just the molasses. About 12% of our fermentations are molasses. And about 88% is the dehydrated sugarcane juice. So we're really benefiting from 100% of the delicious aspects of a sugarcane plant. The reason island distillers got into molasses was because it was actually kind of a garbage product. It was a throwaway thing, and it was free to them. So they started making rum out of it. For us, we think the sugarcane plant is spectacular, and we are using every aspect of it. And we're also getting the first press of the cane, which is kind of like if you were pressing extra virgin olive oil. The first press of the olive is where the best flavors come out and the most robust flavors. We do that same thing with sugarcane. So we use the first press of the cane, and that's where all the greatest flavors of vanilla and pineapple and the things people associate with rum.
Wow, it's so nice. I had no idea. Thank you for sharing. So you told me a little bit about where the rum is sold. If I, for example, in the Netherlands would like to buy a bottle of rum, the closest area is probably Germany, right?
Actually, we have rum in Rotterdam, in kind of a bonded warehouse. So we have a partnership with a company that's based in Amsterdam that has been doing some promotion of our products. And so they are storing rum in a bonded warehouse in Rotterdam, and then they send it in different directions when we get requests. Our EU distributor is based in Spain. It's much easier to get in the EU. But if we had customers interested in Amsterdam, I could make a connection. And, that's kind of how it works with a small company. Big companies, they buy space on shelves all over the world, and it's easy to walk into a liquor store. In a small company like ours, we just don't have the resources to just, push money into all these liquor stores to get on the shelf. So we find that our fans go out into the world, they make requests, those liquor store owners get it from our distributors, and then they put it on the shelf or they sell it direct to our customer. And it actually works pretty well. It's a little harder, few more steps, but it still works.
Yeah, at least it works. At least you can get it all the way over there.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked a little bit about the products that are for sale at Zoetica. What are your favorites? So what's the kit that you carry with you at all times?
I carry every single day the Warrior. So it's a purse or a tote. Some people call it like a hobo tote. It can be carried alongside a smaller purse, or it can be carried as the purse itself. It has two side pockets. So I have my water bottle in one and my coffee cup in the other. And I have two different coffee cups that I interchange depending on where I'm traveling or what I'm going to be drinking. Sometimes I carry like a cappuccino size one, and sometimes I carry a tall one. And then inside is a separate kit, which is called the Nomad, that slides in and out of my Warrior. And it comes with our Warrior. And inside that are two nested stainless steel tiffins. So those are to-go containers that mine are 100% stainless steel and 100% leak proof. So I can put soup in it, turn it sideways, drop it in my purse or my computer bag and not worry one bit about leaking. I also have an organic cotton napkin that doubles as a paper towel when I'm in the bathroom traveling. I use it for 1,000 different things, cleaning up messes. I sometimes wash my face with it. And I have a set of cutlery. Mine, I've added a set of chopsticks, stainless steel chopsticks too, because I eat a lot of Asian food. And so I have a set of chopsticks that I carry every day. I have also a small coffee stirring spoon because sometimes I just, at the end of a coffee, it's become all separated and I like to keep it stirred up. And then I also have a shopping bag and a produce bag with me in that kit all the time. So if I make a quick stop into the grocery store or the health food store, I always have a produce bag and I always have a shopping bag. So those, all but the chopsticks, come with that kit as it sells. And then I've also added to mine some reusable Ziploc style bags. So they are made from a modified rubber type substance, and they can be washed and put in the dishwasher and reused a million times. But I put snacks in them. I put nuts, things like that I'm carrying. And if someone gives me some leftovers, that I can always stick them in that Ziploc, like older, like French fries or something, a sandwich that's left over, I can put in that bag.
That sounds like a very appropriate name, Warrior. That's literally everything you can think of.
You feel like a warrior when you use it. And literally people gather, like you form a crowd because nobody's seen anything like it before. I was at a Quiznos in the Detroit airport recently, and there were two cash registers side by side, and there was a woman at the cash register next to me, and when she left with her order, she had a plastic cup for her orange juice, she had a paper cup for her coffee, she had a plastic clamshell container for her breakfast. And they took all of that and they put it in a plastic bag and filled it full of cutlery wrapped in plastic and napkins, and off she walked. And as she walked away, she looked at me, and they had filled my tiffin with my breakfast. I had my coffee in my coffee cup. I had a second cup that had orange juice in it. And I said, no, thank you to the bag. I have my own. I pulled out my little reusable bag. I put it all in there and I walked off, and she followed me and she said, I want that. And that's kind of what happens out there. People understand there's a problem. They want to help fix it, but they don't know how. And they feel really, and that's where I was, a year ago. I felt really powerless because I had, one thing one time when I needed it and another thing another day, but I could never say no to everything. So it's been empowering.
Yeah, very empowering. And that's the best advertising, actually, because people see it and they want it. And also, I think people need to learn that it's okay to do it. Some people are maybe even scared. They're like, oh, what are they going to say? Like, for example, in the airplane, when they say no to having my water bottle filled. But if they see someone else do it, then they'll be more courageous to do it than ask for it themselves next time.
Well, and that's another aspect of Zoetica, is that we will actually be driving acceptance from the vendor side. So we won't just expect the consumer to walk up and train the vendor. We're actually going to be training vendors, including United Airlines and, all these big companies that are the biggest offenders of throwing away 6 million cups a day. They have to own this, and that you can walk into Starbucks and give them your to-go cup and they will fill it with your coffee. That's how we know that the health department is not the barrier. The health the barrier is the corporation, and they're making a decision that is probably driven by the desire to sell water bottles or beverages or things like that and not make it easy for you to have your own beverage. And so we're going to be driving that from the vendor side to say, you can't announce over your loudspeaker that you recycle and then walk up and down the aisles of the plane throwing everything in a garbage bag. Like, we're going to be calling them on their inconsistencies, but also creating long-term partnerships to let them do the right kind of practice.
Yeah, and it takes training and it takes time, and that's okay. But there do need, yeah, small steps are fine, but at least take some steps.
Exactly.
Don't be blind.
We try really hard not to get overwhelmed, both at Zoetica and Montanya, because sometimes it feels like, we're just cranking out, we're doing things, and then nobody else is doing it, and the problem is just escalating all around us. You see the videos of the gyres with trash just like off the coast of Honduras and in the Caribbean, and it seems like the problem is growing so fast, and our small efforts can't possibly be enough. But if there's a wave of a lot of people getting on board, then eventually, we'll start to create a movement, and that's really what we're about, is creating a movement.
Yeah, and I feel like I know so many people nowadays. I'm obviously also doing this, but who are trying to make a difference, and then all you hear is that it's only getting worse, and you really feel like, why am I even doing this? Yeah, you feel really helpless.
I think that's the big barrier for a lot of people. They feel like, how am I ever going to really make any difference? Like, okay, I saved one coffee cup, whatever. But the reality is that if everybody starts saving one coffee cup and then everybody says, oh, well, it's kind of easy. Actually, it's way better to have this reusable coffee cup because it keeps my coffee hot and it doesn't spill and the top doesn't fly off when I'm walking. And I think it's more sanitary because I'm the one that washed it, and 5, vendors in a coffee shop didn't touch it and stack it and move it. And I think once people get doing it, then they realize that it's actually better. And then they start doing it 7 days a week. And then what I've found is, like, all my friends have rippled out and they're doing it because I'm doing it. And then their friends are doing it because they're doing it. And then it becomes, like I said, a movement.
Yeah. And a habit. If once you're into it, you're into it, and then it's fine. And then it's not difficult anymore. Karen is generously offering us a 5% discount on all Zoetica products. The offer code is 5% off today, and the percentage is just the symbol, and it's valid through April 30th, 2018. So what are your goals for the future of both Montanya and Zoetica?
Well, my biggest goal for Zoetica for this year is to really just spread the word. It's not about money for us, although, of course, we have to stay in business and we want to sell our product lines. But really, it's about reaching the world with this concept that, heck, you could create your own kit. You could use a bag you have and a coffee cup you have and a water bottle you have and compile your own system. And that's just as good. We're just as happy with that as if you buy one from us. But if you don't have those things, or it's easier to buy from us, then we're here. But we really want to get the word out that we're going to have to drive this from the consumer side. We're going to have to demand it, and then get with big corporations like Google, Sony Pictures. I just met with Salesforce last week about, having systems within their humongous office buildings in downtown cities where, they say they have a carbon neutral building, but 6,000 people are coming and going all day long with plastic, to-go cups or lunch containers. So our goal is to just keep starting the conversation in different places. Let's think about this, because once you start thinking about it and you start watching it and looking at it, you can't unsee it. And then you start to think, I can't not do something, so then it just has its own internal energy, which is great. As far as Montanya, we are going to be celebrating our 10th anniversary in a big way this year. So releasing a new rum, getting, everybody to start thinking about what it means to drink responsible alcohol. I work with a bartender in Austin who calculated the amount of alcohol he serves in his bar based on swimming pools. That's how he calculated it. He's like, if I'm going to be serving swimming pools full of alcohol every day, he's like, I need to make sure that those companies are taking care of things, that their crops are being harvested with a good labor approach, and that they're distilling in a sustainable way, and that they're shipping and packaging and, carbon offsetting their freight and all that kind of stuff, so that as a bartender, you can feel good about what you're serving in your bar. And that's a conversation that we're really starting to have with the world, is that if you're not thinking about sustainability in alcohol, then it doesn't even matter that you're buying organic lettuce over here and, organic kombucha over here, because all the alcohol you're consuming is, factory made, and there are sugarcane workers who've died in the field because of, global climate change, and they don't have hydration and they don't have shade. And it just gets this industry gets complicated in terms of supply chain. And we want people to think about that, much like we want them to think about throwing away trash.
Yeah. I don't even, besides Montanya, I don't even know if I know very many green distillers, honestly.
I don't know very many either. And even some of the ones that talk about being green, it's a question of what they're actually doing. Like for us, if you go to our website at montanyarum.com and look at our transparency page, we have a transparency page and we also have a sustainability page. If you look at the sustainability page, it goes on for 57 points of what we are doing within our company as actions every day to walk the walk. So a good example is I went to San Francisco recently and did a brand education for 44 bartenders, and I served them lunch. I can't be a green company if I walk in and serve 44 bartenders lunch on paper plates with plastic cutlery out of big plastic containers, which is how it comes. You've seen the platters of sandwiches. So I had to find a partner in San Francisco. I worked with this amazing company called Green Tiffin. They delivered 44 individual lunches in stainless steel tiffins. There was not a single piece of trash that we threw away at the end of that lunch. We put it all back in a fabric bag, and a bike messenger came and picked it up and took it back and washed it all and sent it to someone else the next day. And I was so pleased at that partnership, because Green Tiffin is doing great things and I can support them as well as accomplishing my own company's goals. So I write a column for Distiller Magazine about sustainability, and I'm trying to get the word out about how it is possible to walk the walk, and that you have to ask questions of these companies. If they're doing one sustainable thing, that does not make them a green company. They have to think about what T-shirts they're sourcing. So the fabrics that their logo wear and their hats are using, they have to think about where the power comes for their pumps and their electricity generation. We're 100% wind powered in both companies. They have to think about, do they use plastic tasting cups when they're at an event, or it just has to go deep. And I have really worked hard for more than 5 years to take it into everything we do. We're not perfect, and I do not, I can tell you the things that we haven't yet figured out how to solve, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So if someone listening is brave enough to start her own company in anything green, what advice would you give her?
I would say that there's magic in just starting. It's really hard to start. Sometimes people get really overwhelmed by, I have to write a 30-page business plan, and I have to really figure out all these details, and I have to have $5 million of investment before I can start. And what we did with Zoetica, we realized that one of the issues in sustainability is that there are a lot of things being made. There's a lot of stuff being generated on our planet. We didn't want to generate something new. So we went out and found 12 companies that we can buy things that are already being made and package them into our own systems. And what that has allowed us to do is also bring up these other 12 companies with us as we grow. And they're experts in the things that they do, like making stainless steel tiffins or making really amazing coffee cups. Or, we work with this woman who's sewing our organic cotton napkins in her house, and she's a single mom. And so it's bringing her up where she has a big customer that she can rely on. We're making sure that all the companies we partner with are amazing. So we don't have a lot of overhead. Like, we didn't have to go to China and make 7,000 of something and bring it back to the US and put it in a warehouse and hope to heck we sell it. We can buy smaller orders from these companies. They have a little more risk in their one product line, but nobody's kind of overwhelmed. And that has really allowed us to start up with minimal startup funding, and just kind of inch along. There may come some crisis points where we have a big order from a big company. We just had that happen. We got an order from a producer in Hollywood who wanted to give 400 of our systems to different people. And we scrambled a little bit, no question. We were like 2 months old. We hadn't even we didn't even know what we were doing yet. We were packing them in my garage. But we did it. And the customer was incredibly happy. And so sometimes you just got to go for it and don't get overwhelmed by all the roadblocks you might perceive. Kick them down as you go. Build your wings and fly as you're falling off the cliff.
Yeah, that's such good advice. Thank you. And can you share an obstacle you've overcome in your business? There's probably many, but maybe one big one that's maybe interesting.
Well, for me in the craft spirits business and in the alcohol business in general, for 10 years, I have faced #MeToo and, every kind of sexual harassment and just disadvantage because of my gender. It's a very old school industry, and it's been run for since before Prohibition, primarily by men. And 10 years ago, when I was one of the first female business owners in the distillery space, they didn't know what to do with me. And I've had issues where at 10 o'clock, I have to leave the event or the bar or the, party or whatever because I'm female. Whereas my male colleagues can work with bartenders until 2 a.m. because they don't have to, fend off anything. So I've had to really overcome a lot of gender-related challenges in the spirits world. I'm now the head of the national organization of women in distilling, and I'm doing some summits at different industry conferences and doing a lot of speeches about this. But diversity is a huge issue in craft distilling, and I'm trying to figure out how to simultaneously address that. It's not a popular topic. Someday everybody will be like, oh, now we're talking about this. But right now it's uncomfortable, and nobody really wants to hear about it or talk about it. But I'm still pushing.
Very cool. Thank you. Yeah, they're so brave. Must be difficult. And what piece of advice have you received from maybe someone in your life that you take to heart in either your business or life?
One of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten was from an owner of a hotel in rural Colorado. He said, "Don't dabble." And it stayed with me for my whole career. I think what he was talking about was if you're going to have a Jeep rental company, don't have 2 Jeeps. Go out on a limb and get 10 Jeeps, because when you wake up in the morning, you're going to be like, I got to get all 10 of these Jeeps rented, no matter what I do today. That's my mission. If you have 2, you might be like, I'm going to go ski. Maybe my 2 Jeeps will get rented. But he was like, if you're going to be in business, don't dabble. Go in head first, feet first, and make things happen. And I've taken that to heart, both with Montanya and Zoetica. I'm focused on rum. People say to me all the time, you should make a whiskey. People who make whiskeys make much more money. And I'm like, I like rum. I'm a rum person. So I make rum and I focus on rum, and I constantly am shoulder to the wheel promoting rum. And I don't dabble. I'm like in there full, feet first. When I started Zoetica, my business partner and I, we both have other companies. We both can't give 100% to Zoetica, but we don't dabble. We're like dedicating hours of every day to it. We're talking about it all the time. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're like promoting, because someday this is going to be big, and we know it. And it's just a question of whether we can be the company that rises to the top of the wave. We're a tiny little, operation in rural Colorado. That's going to be a big hurdle to clear. We're not in downtown Los Angeles. But we have such great hope for the future and such great excitement about what we're doing on all fronts. So.
And is there anything else you would like to add for our listeners?
I think the most important thing that kind of goes around in my head all the time, every day, is that plastic is going to ruin us as a planet. It doesn't matter whether you are a liberal or a conservative, a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter whether you love the ocean or you see it as a commodity that you can farm. It doesn't matter whether you're a fisherman or like a sailor. We are ruining this planet with plastic. And companies in Texas are increasing their investment in plastic production by 40% in 2018 because there is so much rising demand. Companies like Coca-Cola made 1 billion more plastic bottles in 2016 than they did in 2015 because there's so much demand. This is all going to be here in 450 years. Your kids, my kids, they're going to be dealing with this thing that we have created in the last 50 years, not over a lifetime of, like dinosaur time. This is 50 years that we have been pumping out plastic, and we're going to ruin everything around us. And we just have to take that seriously. And if we refuse to take it seriously, our kids are going to be living on a whole different planet, or they're going to be living in spaceships orbiting because they can't grow anything anymore. So, you could bury the city of Manhattan in plastic trash and not even begin to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's the truth. And we need to face it. It's pretty dark.
We got to face it. And we each have to just take our single-handed responsibility for what we can. It's like Mother Teresa, like, don't try to fix the world. Fix your own home, fix your own office, fix your own company, and we'll all do it together. And then we'll have a beautiful place with green grass and happy trees. Yeah.
Yeah. And also take it one step at a time. Don't think, oh, I can't do that because all of this plastic I use in my life. Start with one thing. Buy a Zoetica kit. Take it one step at a time. Don't immediately think you have to throw everything out, but just chill, take it one step at a time, and inspire everyone with your changes.
My son came home from a student meeting. He's a senior in high school. He came home and he brought all the plastic film from the meeting that they had, chips and other things that they were consuming. And he brought home like this huge bag of plastic film. And he's like, Mom, I had to bring it home because they were going to throw it in the trash. And I knew that we would recycle it. And I thought, that's how easy it is to influence the next generation to do it differently. Yeah.
Also very powerful. Thank you so much for being on the show and taking us on behind the scenes of the distillery, and for all the amazing work you did with Zoetica. It's such important work that you do, and I'm so grateful that you were on the show, and also so generous with sharing your business wisdom as well. So thank you.
It's been really fun.
Thank you. If there ever was a green business owner on the show, Karen is definitely a poster board child of a green business owner. 4 green businesses she's had in her lifetime, Montanya Distillers and Zoetica. And both are so important because, yes, there should be way more green alcoholic beverages offered and consumed, because why would you be doing everything green and not drink green alcohol? It's a little bit silly, not literally green, but sustainable alcohol. And the Zoetica systems are just amazing. I think I need a system as well because I carry little bits and pieces around with me at all times, but I think it would be nice to have it a nice little package, which is a little bit more hygienic. So I really appreciate Karen being on the show, and it's amazing. And as you heard earlier, she's offering a 5% discount on all Zoetica products. Use the offer code 5% off today, and the percentage is the symbol, and it's valid through April 30th, 2018. So if you don't have a zero waste system yet that you carry around at all times, definitely consider Zoetica, or build your own, as Karen said, as long as you do it, because why would you be going out and using to-go cups? Is your 1 cup of coffee really that important to be wasting plastic and paper? Think about it. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to the Power Women in Green podcast. Learn how to greenify your life by heading over to powerwomeningreen.com. Here you can find the latest green news and the best eco products from my favorite kind business,